Hey guys, how's it going? It's Etanyos here. Welcome to episode number 4 of this Hockey Legacy Manager Pittsburgh Penguins rebuild here on my channel. Today we're going to be jumping into the 4th season of this rebuild and this series and trying to turn the Pittsburgh Penguins back into a contender. Right now we're in that kind of weird in-between phase where we've landed some good picks, we've gotten some good prospects. If we look at the recent draft history, we landed a number 4 and a number 2 overall pick where we got Malcolm Spence and Gavin McKenna. Ryan Rubrick actually ended up going first overall, so if you missed that last episode, go back and check it out because we actually managed to get a franchise player. So that was a huge step in the road back. We also managed to land some other really good picks. This guy, Jonas Schoberg, he's a high elite player. We also got Edwin Sullivan, another elite defenseman. So we've got some pieces here that we can definitely build around for the future. But at this point, we're just jumping in, signing up players that we need to actually get back into our team. Guys like Joel Blomqvist, players of that kind of caliber. And honestly, for Blomqvist on an 8-year deal, $3.5 million, just a little bit less than that, is definitely a good price for him. We can probably get him even a little bit cheaper than that. Yeah, we can go like 3.25 for the next 8 seasons. That's a great contract. Apart from that, I'm going to actually just jump in here and kind of look at the depth chart and kind of go position by position. So for the other goalies, McLaughlin will probably sign and then he'll be playing in the NHL this upcoming year. I think we look for a Tristan Jarry trade as he is 31 now. But those are probably that's probably a move we're going to be looking to kind of pursue and push through over the next season here. We are going to sign Drago to a contract. I totally realized that Ivan Drago is totally the Rocky bad guy, like the Russian guy in Rocky. So, I don't know how that's in this roster. Honestly, this is my roster, but it's been downloaded and edited off of other Hockey Legacy players. So that's probably how it got in there, and I just never even clued in and clicked that, oh yeah, that's who Ivan Drago actually is. So, yeah. Besides that, though, we do have a couple contracts we need to re-sign here. Guys like, really just our defense more than anything. Guys like Pedersen, guys like Pierre-Olivier Joseph, and yeah, there's a few of them that we definitely need to re-sign there. I believe Letang is still good. Yeah, he's still on that $6.1 million deal for the next 2 seasons. As far as right wingers go, we're good there. Like, we could sign some of these guys, but I'm just going to let them sit and cook for another season. As far as centers go, we could probably sign Noel Acciari, but apart from that, it's really just re-signing some of those other kind of low down in the lineup and in the system guys. And yeah, there's not too many others that I'm really super set on making sure we sign. Gavin McKenna, if he grows, and that's if he grows, then we will actually sign him to the NHL. But if he doesn't, then no big deal. Samuel Poulin, we're going to sign for probably about $3.2 million as well, maybe a little bit less than that even. We can get him at 3.055. That's not bad at all. Dylan Hamaliuk, same kind of thing. Again, under $3 million for a depth winger is actually a really decent price. We are probably overpaying maybe just a little bit for depth, but at the same time, depth is going to be what wins us a championship eventually. Malcolm Spence, I'm realizing there's actually an error on his name. There's an L missing in his name. It's Malcolm, not Malcolm. So, yeah, we're going to go and fix that right away. I don't know how that's an error, but it is. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for free agents or for the re-signing phase. As far as actual potential goes, yeah, we're going to go and just edit Malcolm Spence because he's again missing an L somehow. Don't ask me how, but he is. So that's interesting. But anyways, we will advance a day here. I guess I can just go back here and hit sim day. That's probably going to be easiest. And really, I think we're going to get everybody to sign. I don't see why anybody would reject. And yeah, okay, that looks to be the case. So we should just have, just rookies left over here. I am going to just save that because then Spence's name is correct from now on. But I think we're ready to hit free agency, just see what's available there. I don't know if we're really going to be making a lot of trades or signings. We do have just under $20 million in cap space to play around with. So we'll have to kind of go from there, see what's available, what we can do. And yeah, I think free agency should be a good time this year. So let's get to it. I do always like to kind of just go through, see who's who's the best kind of prospects available. Nikishin is probably the best player on the market, but, Brandon Hagel's not bad either. Honestly, we don't need a ton as far as what our team needs kind of consist of here. I do always like to go in, kind of look through potential as well and see if there's any prospects that have kind of slipped through, like Jack Finley, even though he's an RFA. And apart from that, not too many other players that we really need to look to pursue heavily. Yeah, I think we're going to be good. Maybe Matvei Petrov, sometimes he turns out to be really good, but is this the same as Edmonton drafted Matvei Petrov? Yeah, it is. Okay, so he doesn't have a face in this game for some reason, which is funny, but yeah, I just don't think there's really a lot of players that we look at and be like, yes, we need to sign this guy kind of thing. I think we're honestly pretty set if we go and look at our depth chart right now. It's a combination of the team being our team's not actually that bad. We do have some injuries there, guys like Besser, but really overall our top 6, top 8 kind of group is solid. We've got enough of the right players in the right places that things should be easy enough. The one thing I am going to go and look at is that Tristan Jarry trade, see if that is actually a viable option for this team. And if it isn't, then we'll figure out something else to do. But, he's a medium starter. He's got decent value still, 2 years left on his contract. We could get a Kevin Korchinski. I mean, he dropped potential, which is probably why he's available there. We could get a Boston first rounder for next season. That would be top 3 protected. We'd probably try to take the draft protection off. We don't want Colorado's pick because that's just not going to pay big enough dividends. Winnipeg's pick, probably the same thing where it's we get Dallas's pick again. Dallas wasn't very good last year, so that might actually be something worth betting on. Philadelphia could be another team. So we got Dallas, Philly, Winnipeg, Boston, and Buffalo. Okay. And Ottawa, too, as potential first-round picks we could get back. Bowen Byram down to a top 4, but he's still not a bad defenseman. I would prefer to go with the first-round pick more than anything, just because we can make it count in the upcoming year, but I also want to just go and look at team standings, see where all of those teams actually finished. Okay, so Boston and Philly were both kind of fringe playoff teams, same with Buffalo. Who else was in there? Winnipeg. We won't take Winnipeg's pick. I would say Dallas, honestly. Dallas would be the first team I'd want to trade with. I just want to see if we could get no draft protection on that pick, because we have 2 other goalies, 2 younger goalies in Blomqvist and McLaughlin coming up, and I just don't really see a need to jam McLaughlin down into the minors when we could just move Jarry and get a decent return on him still, even though he's our least valued goalie out of the 3. So yeah, let's go back to Dallas. Yeah, we'd be trading some picks, but I think if we can just edit the draft condition and delete it, that, yeah, we give up a 6th and a 7th next year, but it's for a first. Does it go through? Yes, it does. All right, so I apologize to all those Pittsburgh fans out there that think Tristan Jarry is the heart and soul of this team. He's a great goalie, but we've got 2 other really great goalies at this point now, and we've got a young elite. Honestly, he's not Marc-Andre Fleury. Don't get me wrong, he's not. But Derek McLaughlin has turned out to be a fabulous-looking prospect for us. And the fact that we got him in the late first round just makes it all the better. So that is what we're going to be hoping and praying for here as we sim to the next season. Don't really need to do much in free agency, and it's really just going to be a matter more so now of who grows and who doesn't in the offseason, because this is a big time where player development and growth and prospect growth happens. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But overall, we're right where we want to be, I think, with this Pittsburgh rebuild. We're 3 years in, and things are looking good. Of course, with the 4th season starting here, there is always the chance and the opportunity that things turn around a lot quicker than we were expecting, but there's also the chance that we're really still down at the bottom of the league, 29th place, in that kind of range to be exact. So looking at the season recap here, again, Kucherov is the top scorer, lots of really good players in there, and there were all your team winners if you need to see the playoff champions. So yeah, on to the next season. Player development. How are we looking here? And I see no Gavin McKenna in the top end here, so that's not great. And he did not grow at all. Awesome. Okay, so that does happen from time to time where your prospects just do not progress. It's actually a fairly common occurrence. But yeah, McLaughlin's up to an 84. Let's see, Besser's 84. Hamaliuk's 84. Koski Ranta has jumped to a top 6 potential. So that is something that can happen, is that potential actually increases. Every now and then you'll see, it's more often you see potential decrease unless you have this one setting that I will show you guys, because it is something you should know about before you actually start playing this game consistently, is that in development, if you leave balanced prospect generation, if you turn this thing off, you're going to get like 5 dozen franchise players in your league, and it's just going to be stupid. Like every team's going to have like 2 or 3 franchise players at least, if not more. So you want to leave that on unless you want to just be run rampant with franchise players, which honestly doesn't really make it a fun time. But as you can see there, yeah, look at that. Everybody except for Gavin McKenna in that top end grew. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Schoberg, I think, only grew by... Did he lose a rating? I'm pretty sure Schoberg actually lost a rating from season to season. I don't know how that happens, but apparently it does. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, Schoberg went down a rating. How? Like, what? He's a 6th overall pick. He had a better season than last. This game has its moments, too, where it's like a guy decreased in rating and potential even though he had a career year. Okay, cool. Like, that just doesn't make sense, but it happens. On the other hand, Edwin Sullivan actually grew quite nicely for +4 ratings overall. Mukashev grew up to a 73 overall, so there's another, kind of goalie prospect that looks really good. And our biggest growth out of any player this season in the offseason was Bartlett, who grew by 10 overall, so that is really good to see. But yeah, it's cool to see Koski Ranta hit that top 6. I did predict that he was actually going to turn into a very good, solid player for us. And of course, putting up 35 points in his rookie season definitely helped out with his case there. So let's get into this season. We're going to just sit back, hope and pray that Gavin McKenna will actually grow, because he is a player that I would very much like to see flourish on this team, because if he doesn't, then we're going to have a much harder time actually going anywhere with this team. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to throw a line together of Malcolm Spence, Sidney Crosby, and Jerry Koski-Ranta. And I think that is going to be our top line, and hopefully we can see some crazy good production out of those 3. After that, we're going to go probably Sagan, Poulin, and... Yeah, Sagan, Poulin, and Raquel should be a solid line for our second line. I might have to split up those playmakers if we can't get better kind of balance throughout this lineup, but I think we should be able to. After that, we'll move Achari down for Malkin. That'll get all greens on the offense, so we'll hopefully see some kind of offensive production there from these guys this year. But yeah, that's what we're going to go with. I'm really hoping that 19-year-old Malcolm Spence can actually be a force. Again, we're going to get Brock Besser back pretty quickly here. He's only going to take a couple more days to get healthy again, which is good to see. But at the same time, let's see. I think we're going to play Koski Ranta on the wing for now. How good are his faceoffs? 75. Okay, so he's got 75 faceoffs. Not bad. He's a pretty big center as far as 6'1", 210. Kind of reminds me of like a JT Miller style almost, but Sid has 99 face-offs, so I think we're going to put Sid at center still. He's, again, players just get really, really good at face-offs as they progress and grow a little bit older. I'm just struggling on where to put everybody because we have Besser still, and Besser's going to be back here soon enough, so we'll have to kind of figure that out here in the next minute or two. But Chris Letang is all the way down to an 80 overall. That is unfortunate to see. Owen Pickering's also taken a potential hit because he just hasn't grown with the amount of injury he's had. So we're still going to put... I think we're still going to put Letang in the lineup. I'm just trying to figure out who we're going to kind of substitute out. I think it's going to be Nickel over everybody. who doesn't play. Yeah, that's probably going to be the case. So yeah, let's go nickel there. That's fine by me. And then we'll go Letang there. Pettersson can play, or no, we'll go Pettersson over nickel. Nickel can be the odd man out. And that should be fine because Ryan Murray doesn't really have a whole lot of value to me. So, all right, that'll be our defense. And then as far as our offense or our goaltending goes, we'll split it almost 50-50. Actually, yeah, we'll split it 50-50 for now. Give McLaughlin time to kind of get accustomed and adapted to the NHL. If he starts to grow throughout the season, we'll bump that proportion up a little bit, but at the moment, we don't want to just throw him to the wolves right away because our Pittsburgh defense isn't very good at all. So that's going to be something that we definitely have to pay attention to. So anyways, as we move these 20 players down, Ryan Murray's probably the only one who's actually going to get picked up on waivers. I don't think, Yager can't go to the AHL yet, or he can't go to waivers yet, which is good because I do want Braden Yager to make our team here eventually. So that's our lineup for this upcoming season, or at least for now. And then I'm thinking we're probably going to have, we're going to want Malcolm Spence up on the top line along with guys like Beliveau and, of course, Koski Ranta. So yeah, we'll play our power plays like this for now. The only way I see anything changing is once Besser comes back, and again, that's not going to take very long. So yeah, something to keep an eye on for sure. As far as player numbers go this year, looks like nothing's really changed. That is all good with me. I actually do like Koski Ranta wearing number 20 out of all numbers, but I'm realizing Rust and Spence have got kind of overlapping numbers here too. I want Spence to wear 17, but Brian Rust is currently wearing it, and we're going to leave it that way. Can't give him 71 either, so I think we're going to go... I wanted to go number 8, but I don't know if that's available. I guess 18's fine for now. He'll probably change it coming up here pretty soon, but that was the one kind of overlap we've got there. McLaughlin's actually wearing 36, which is his confirmed correct number. Koski Ranta should probably be wearing number 2. It's just, I find 2 to be a really kind of weird look on forwards. I don't really like how number 2 looks. So, all right, for prospects this upcoming year, we're gonna be looking at a bunch more defense, which is probably a good thing because our team's defense is a little questionable still. We could probably use an elite right-handed D-man because we have an elite lefty, so maybe like Ball or Yunkov is going to be a guy that we go with. Jas. That's a great name. Jas Ball. Okay, anyways. So let's get simulating up to the preseason here. We'll get Brock Besser back within a week or so. And then, as you can see on the progression, we had some guys grow quite a bit. We had, I don't know how Schoberg as an 18-year-old elite drops in potential. Maybe it's because we didn't sign him right away or something, but yeah, that one didn't really make sense to me. So we'll auto-assign scouting. Achari for Prince, no thank you. And there we go, Brock Besser's back. So we are going to switch out Besser for, who are we going to go with? We'll probably go Janssen and then slide. How do we want to do this? I kind of want him on the second line, but I'm thinking if we go Nieto over, Achari over, Malkin goes bottom line, that makes sense, and then Sagan moves down, Crosby moves down, we swap that guy over, then we go swap that guy. We swap Janssen for Koski Ranta, and then we go like that. I think that's going to be the move, and then Andreas Janssen is the kind of odd man out there, and then we still have some solid lines set up. Of course, Crosby and those guys are moving away from the top end of our team, which again makes sense as they begin to decline, but I'm hoping we can actually see some decent production here from these new young guys. So Oh, let's hope and pray we don't have a preseason injury this year because we just always seem to have one. And we're actually starting off pretty good. We go 2-0 to start. And we see some waivers. We finally lose a game there. Logan Thompson goes to waivers. And all right, we make it through preseason without an injury for once. That is fabulous to see. Definitely a nice change of pace compared to previous years. So let's get into the sim. We're going to just start going month by month by month here, nice and quick. But yeah, as you guys can see, our team isn't particularly great. 86 offense, 84 defense, 84 goaltending for now. I'm sure the goaltending will get better because McLaughlin has seemed to just hit the growth bug. He's been really growing consistently. But we're starting the season off pretty weak here, 2-5. And a couple different injuries there, so that does tend to happen. And we lose Rickard Rakell for a month too, but we start off 3-7. We're currently second last in the league again. As long as we have our own pick, then it doesn't really matter because that just means we end up getting another top end pick. And yeah, we're only behind Chicago for worst records in the league, but yeah, it happens where your team just doesn't play well. Again, we got Calgary's pick this year as well as Dallas's pick in the first round. So we've got a couple different options there. I am expecting we'll miss the playoffs for probably about 5 or 6 seasons. That's kind of the timeline I'm putting on this rebuild. But 5 or 6 years I don't think is actually that bad, especially if we're going to be this bad towards the end of Sid's career. Looks like he's under a point per game now, but that's also kind of understandable. We lose Malkin for a week. We get Marcus Pettersson back. And we're slowly sliding up the standings with a couple wins here and there. All right. We've had quite a few lineup changes here since those injuries have happened. Again, Rakell is out for now. Looks like Braden Yeager has made it into the lineup. That's good to see. At 21, that's kind of where you want him to be. Spence's got 11 points. Koski-Ranta's got 15. That's good. That's really good. Defensively, we are just not... our defense is just not there yet. And McLaughlin probably having a pretty rough go. Oh, he's got a 901. That's actually not horrible. So I'm surprised he's above 900 on his save percentage. He's barely above 500, but still. 19-20 games into the season now, McLaughlin's actually doing all right. We lose Chris Letang to injury. We get Owen Pickering back. All right. And all right, 2 months in, we currently sit third last at 30th. Samuel Poulin is actually leading the team in points with 24. Not what I expected, but a good change of pace to see a youngster leading the team. I say youngster as he is 25. He's not exactly young, but he's younger. And then Chris Letang's back. We do actually have to manually put him in the team, otherwise he won't end up playing over nickel, which does tend to happen as well. So, yeah, okay, not off to a particularly horrible start. We'll best lines that for now because, again, once Rakell comes back, that's going to shuffle this whole lineup. Yeager will go down as a scratch more than likely. And back to the calendar. So, we're in December now, so just under halfway through the... by the end of the month we'll be about halfway through the season. And are we starting to win? Yeah, we are. We are starting to move up a little bit. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move Matt Nieto to the bench, I think. We're going to lock in Braden Yeager. We'll best lines this. It'll kind of waterfall effect down the lineup. Malkin will end up third line center. And I'm really hoping, with Koski-Ranta's production, I'm really hoping he could become an elite center. That would be really cool to see because sometimes that does happen. I also noticed our goaltending went up to 86. So I am assuming that... McLaughlin has grown in rating. So we'll have to just wait and see until our next kind of lineup issue happens here. Okay, let's take a quick peek at that. And yeah, McLaughlin is up to an 86, so we'll bump him up, give him a few more games. He's still at above 900. Both our goalies have gotten a shutout now at this point too, which is pretty funny to see. And okay, Nickel's gonna sub in for Morrow for now. Morrow should actually be playing up a pairing at least, if not 2. That's actually, that's what we're going to do is Scott Morrow is going to slot in on the top line now because he's actually having a pretty decent season, 13 points in 37 games. Second best out of all our D-men apart from Isaac Beliveau, which I kind of expected as well. I thought Beliveau was going to do okay. But we're not getting a particularly large amount of growth from our team yet either. If we look at the system, how are other players growing down here? Okay, Gavin McKenna's up by 2 overall, not bad. Looks like Schoberg's up by 1 rating now, which took him long enough, but okay. Sullivan's doing good. Mukashev's doing good. Got a plus 12 now on Bartlett. He's growing quite a lot. Cormier's up to a 70. That's huge growth from him. Wow, okay. So we are definitely getting growth down in the system. That's what we kind of needed to see more than anything. That's kind of the one thing that's keeping me going in this rebuild and in this series here is just knowing, like, okay, every season we're going to see a little bit more growth. Our team's going to get a little bit better. And Gavin McKenna's 19 now, but he's putting up 1.36 points per game over in Liga, which is also good to see. So hopefully he can continue that pace because, yeah, last year was a down year for him, which is probably why he didn't grow very much. But again, draft year pressure, sometimes it gets to players. But if we've got a franchise playmaker on our hands, we can't really complain. So we're back down to 30th at the end of December, heading into January. Oh, that's actually kind of a nice trade. Because, yes, while Nickel is actually a part of our team this year, I don't know. Maybe that's going to be a trade, honestly, because that is top 5 protected. You know what? Take the protection off. We'll take it. We will take it all day. If you guys just want to go boop, delete that. You still want to make that trade? Okay, we'll take another first. Again, you guys are going to send us first-round picks for essentially just taking on cap space and trading away kind of, not abysmal, but below-average prospects. We'll take it. We will take it. So, Alex Nylander and Matthias Hellberg both get healthy again by the looks of it. Got a little bit of lineup shuffling to do there. Scott Morrow's actually turning into quite a nice-looking defenseman there. He's 84 overall now, so getting up there for sure. I don't think he's going to catch Belleville in scoring, but you never know. And then as far as potentials and rating growth goes, looks like Spence is up to 84. Koskiranta's still sitting at that 87. I was really hoping he would kind of shoot up again. He's got 34 and 44, though, so he's not playing bad by any means. But then again, nobody on our team's actually over a point per game pace this year. Pittsburgh's really just declined rapidly, which is okay. Again, we're vying for those top-end lottery picks, so we can't really complain too loudly. Russia wins the World Juniors, so they're back at the World Juniors. That's good to see, I guess. Maybe they... Some other politically influencing events have stopped happening, hopefully. So... Looks like in 52 games, Koskiranta is now leading the team with 40 points. Nothing special, but also not particularly weak either. And looking over at the prospect pool here now, looks like Fleury is definitely the top defenseman here this year. What's his name? It's K. Fleury. Kenneth Fleury. So he could maybe be a player that if we landed the number 1 pick, we could look at maybe grabbing for like... switching him over to the right side to play offensive defense or something. Like, that's maybe something we could look at. There are a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? There do seem to be a lot of defensemen in this top end of the draft this year, which is not a problem. I will gladly take seeing defensemen in the top end of the draft, but there's still a lot of scouting to be done, but your 2 kind of big names are probably going to be Tan and Rask, unless Fleury turns out to be a franchise player, which might actually be the case still. We don't know yet, but we're going to just have to wait and see. So let's continue on. Let our scouting do its magic, and I guess the game has decided to stop working. Apparently. I'm saving because sometimes the game just crashes. So that's why I'm throwing this save in here. It will take a couple seconds, but I hope you guys know it's not that I'm trying to crap save or whatever you want to call it, where you like save every single time and then you hope there's no injuries and stuff. No, that's why we're not cutting this. That's why we're just simulating through, getting it all done, not cutting this video a lot except for when I kind of like pause on my talking and stuff. So yeah, okay, 29th place. We'll continue into the month of February. Hopefully we'll stick around that bottom end, because I would not mind improving our defense a little bit more, but we'll see. So we lose Raquel, not great, but that does happen. And all right, we will continue on. More injuries, more of that good stuff. And all right, Raquel's back. Good to see. Best line's that, because Raquel is going to make a better impact than Matt Nieto on that line, more than likely. But maybe not. You never know. Yeah, stats could be better from the team, but they could also be a lot worse. So I cannot really complain as to where we are right now. Oh, McLaughlin. 87 rated at 19 years old. 901 save percentage in spite of playing on one of the worst teams in the league. You love to see that. So, I mean, I have got no complaints with where our team is currently at. We lost 9-1 to Dallas. Oh my goodness, that was a throttling. There's no other way, like, just like grab them by the neck and throttle them, quite literally. That's what happened. So all right, looks like we're tied right in there with Columbus. So we have the opportunity to go to the trade deadline. We've got Koski Granto with 55 points in more games than that. But he's probably the highest points per game. Yeah, he is, 0.83, which, you know, isn't bad on this team, because really this team is not good. And I mean, hey, we got cap space. Let's see what kind of ridiculous kind of trades we might be able to pull off here for teams that want to get rid of some term-type players, guys like Tomas Hertl. Like, we could actually, with certain bad contracts, we could actually, it would probably only really be Tomas Hertl, unless Vegas is looking for some cap space or something, but yeah, no, we wouldn't do first rounder for anything like that. Looks like the most Edmonton would be willing to give up for Hertl would be a third-round pick along with him, which, you know, isn't bad, but really isn't great either. So yeah, okay. Let's see what kind of magic we can work here to try and snag an extra first-round pick, because, again, firsts don't hurt. Now, Edmonton is a contender, yes, but clearing cap space is also going to provide them value. So, holy, Philip Broberg grew tremendously well. Okay, Tomas Hertl and a first. I'll give you a second in exchange for it, because it's really only upgrading by a few spots. But hey, Edmonton, if you wanna part ways with that, I'm pretty sure we can make it work. I know they don't want to part ways with that pick, but would a third rounder get it done? Not quite. We might be able to go 2 third rounders in exchange for that first. And if that's the case, I would absolutely make this trade. So let's try it. If Edmonton's okay with that, great. If they're not, I understand. But this is probably the only trade I'm going to make. And yeah, who's really matching? All the guys that have no cap space essentially are matching their needs, which, fair enough, makes sense. Yeah, let's just try the 2 third-round picks. It kind of doesn't make sense because we're taking a 85 rated player away from the Oilers, but I don't know why they're paying him 4 years at 8 point something million. Like, they're gonna have to re-sign other players. They don't quite take that trade, so what if we replace it? I understand why they're not taking the trade, but I'm wondering, what if we replace one of those players with a different player? I don't really want to move any of our younger guys, but I don't know who we'd move exactly. Like, Brian Rust would probably make sense for them, but I just don't really see that happening. Yeah, I don't know if we're actually going to be able to pull off a trade here. As much as I would like to, if we just switch one for a second, then maybe it works, because I just don't really see the need to do much more than that. See, but then the second's too much. Like, that's the thing, is they would absolutely take that trade. If we go 2/3 and then like a 5th, is that really all we have for 2027 picks? Really? We've traded away that many other... Wow. I thought for sure we were going to have a few more kind of late rounders, but if we throw a 7th in there, maybe they take it. Maybe they don't. No. Okay. Okay. So that's I guess that's gonna be what it is, but yeah, okay, we're just gonna call it a trade deadline, because I just don't see the need to really go out and make a bunch of big moves. So yeah, we got a lot of picks early on in this upcoming draft. Now that I'm realizing it, we don't have a lot of late round picks. Like, there's just not really a lot of picks there. So yeah, let's continue on here, and I guess we're gonna slide up the standings a bit. We're up to 27th now. Okay. Definitely got a lot of injuries and lineup changes happening, though, as you can see. We're back down to 30th, and all right, we continue to win games against good teams, apparently. 26th, 28th, 29th. Like, we're all over the place when it comes to standings here. Looks like Columbus is trying to do their best impression of catching the Penguins, but that probably isn't going to happen. And all right, with just a few games left here, we're third last in the league yet again. I would assume Chicago and maybe like Seattle or somebody like that are the only other teams below us. Was I right? No, Vegas, LA, and sorry, we're fourth last. Vegas, LA, and Chicago all below us in the standings. Interesting to see. Yeah, sometimes teams that you would expect to do better just absolutely stink. Hence the Vegas Golden Knights, but that also kind of makes sense. They are probably at the end of their prime and longevity of their term and career with their current team, at least. But yeah, we'll see what's available at the draft, because if we're bottom 5-ish, I'm hoping we don't move too much further down, because a lot of down movement is probably not going to be good. So yeah, draft is looking all right. Fleury's really the kind of prized possession out of all those players, but yeah, it's a pretty steep drop off after him. It's not like there's a couple like 75, 74. It's like he's going to be 73 rated, Frenet, however you say his name, but Fleury's going to be 81 rated. So there's going to be a big drop between those kind of positions in the actual in the actual draft. So this would be a nice year to win that number 1 pick. We'll see what happens, though, of course. So we get Besser back, and to end off the season, Jerry Koski-Ranta finishes just under a point per game with a huge 36 goals, 45 assists, 81-point season. Very solid from him. Yeah, wow. Jerry Koski-Ranta surprised me. I did not think anybody was going to be at or even really near a point per game this year, but props to him for what he was actually able to do. Looks like Blomqvist kind of got it together, played a little bit better. over his 35 than McLaughlin did over his 46, 47, whatever it was, 47 games. Yeah, so that's okay because, again, he's a rookie. He did just fine considering that it really wasn't a great team in front of him this year. So, yeah, there's your stats for the Penguins this year apart from the tendies. And tendies weren't good, but that's okay. So, let's go and look at the entire league when it comes to those stats. If the scroll wheel will pop up here. There we go. And, all right, best goalie this year, Tristan Jarry on the Washington Capitals. All right, can't say that's what I expected, but apparently Washington was sick. So, yeah, really not what I was expecting. But he got traded from Dallas in exchange for Dylan Strome and a second-round pick. So I'm really hoping Dallas didn't finish all that well. But yeah, Tristan Jarry is probably going to be the top goalie. He might win the Vezina, he might not. 913 is decent. It wasn't the best. There were 918s, 920 from Ottinger in there. So unlikely he wins the Vezina, but honestly, not a bad year from him at all. 43 wins. That's crazy. As far as top defenders go, Rasmus Dahlin puts up an 86-point season, 1.05 points per game. He's very likely going to, well, he will win the best offensive defenseman, might win best defensive defenseman too. And then as far as all goal scoring and point scoring goes, Connor McDavid puts up 126 points. And Austin Matthews hot on his tail with 123. He had more assists. The top playmaker probably is, yeah, it is Austin Matthews, but top goal scorer is McDavid. Okay, so that's it for the league for this season. You guys get all the numbers in there. You can see Ryan Rubrick on Washington had like 41 goals, 60 points by a rookie. That's a little bit absurd. Okay, let's go just rookie scoring in general. Who are the best rookies? If it'll load. 60 points there from Rubrick. Wasn't actually the best. Fabian Lysell was actually better, but we had two pens up there in Spence and Beliveau, who both did quite nicely. I would assume Rubrick's got to have grown pretty nicely. Yeah, he's up to an 85, so that was a great pick by Washington, first overall. Honestly, has probably done better than our supposed franchise player in Gavin McKenna, if it'll let me scroll. If it will, if it won't. McKenna's, yeah, still at 78. He's not stunted in his growth, but he just didn't have a particularly amazing season. So yeah, that is it for the regular season. We didn't look at team standings, so we'll go check that out nice and quickly, because team standings are also a very important part of this game. And your best team this year, if it'll load, was the Buffalo Sabres, winning 57 games and putting up a 121-point season. That's crazy. That is an absolutely awesome season from them. We finished fourth last. Looks like the Dallas Stars did make the playoffs. They did indeed, seventh place. Calgary also made the playoffs, so two teams that we do have the picks of, but they're not going to be in the lottery this year, so that is all good. It does happen from time to time where, your picks just don't really turn out. Last year was obviously an exception where we just put up a crazy good draft campaign. But yeah, we only have picks in the first three rounds, so maybe we'll look for like a trade where we get a 4th through 7th for like a 3rd or something. We'll see what's available, because it doesn't hurt to have additional picks. But at the same time, if we don't make as many picks and we just get some really high-quality players, that also works for me. So we'll see how it goes as we get a little closer to the draft. We definitely got to sim through the playoffs here and see who manages to win. All right, so we'll sim to the awards now. This will take a hot minute because there's lots of playoffs to simulate through. Of course, it's not just the NHL, the game simulating everything. But yeah, we'll kind of just sit back and wait and watch and see what happens. All right, so this year the Edmonton Oilers are going to be your Stanley Cup champions. 12th best team heading into the playoffs. They beat Dallas in the third round, so that's not great, but they finished off New Jersey in the finals. If you guys need to stop and take a look at any of these winners because they're one of your teams, feel free to go for that. Again, wow, that is leggy. Don't even know what happened there, but yeah, the entire screen just froze for a minute. So yeah, you can line these up if you need to with your corresponding team, but that was your playoff champions. Again, there'll be the end screen at the end of next video if you are interested in that kind of stuff, but we are going to, of course, get to the draft lottery and the actual draft. And yeah, we'll just go through the awards nice and quickly here, of course, because the awards are important. It's always interesting to see who wins what. So let's reveal all here in just a moment. And there we go. And it'll take a minute to process because there's lots of awards to hand out. So who's going to win what this year? Again, we are 4 seasons in now, so lots of different award winners there. Hart Trophy, league MVP goes to Matthews. Draisaitl wins the Conn Smythe over McDavid. McDavid's the best offensive player. Ryan Rubrick wins the Rookie of the Year. Cool to see there. McDavid wins the Rocket. Matthews with the best playmaker, the Ted Lindsay. McDavid wins yet another Selke. He has been just inevitable there. Rasmus Dahlin gets Bobby Orr. Owen Power gets James Norris. Shesterkin wins back-to-back Vezinas. And then this Sebja guy, who I don't even know, Dennis Sebja, or Sejba, something like that. His 48th overall pick by the Arizona Coyotes wins the World Juniors MVP. I always find that one kind of interesting because it's like, okay, how are prospects actually developing here? So, and Don Granato with Buffalo wins the Jack Adams, deservedly so after kind of the rough season Buffalo has had in real life this year. Buffalo has that kind of potential in their team. It's really just a matter of if they actually realize that potential or not. So, now that that's done, we get to the big old retirement screen here. I would not be surprised if we see Chris Letang here this year. As far as Malkin and Crosby go, I don't think it's quite their time yet, but it might be. We'll see what happens because Crosby is no longer the Pittsburgh Penguins scoring leader as he has been in previous years, so maybe he's just like, yep, screw it, I'm out at 85 overall or whatever his rating is still. Like, that could be a possibility. So, here we go. Big old retirees. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be this year? It's got to be Letang. And it's not going to be Letang. He's going to kick it for one more year in the pro leagues. So that's good to see. Brett Burns, Paul Stastny, Jamie Benn, Blake Wheeler, Nicholas Backstrom. Some of the various top names retiring this year. As far as any jersey retirements go, I don't think we really have a need to retire any of these guys. Nobody's played more than like 195 games like Carl Hagelin. So yeah, we're just not really going to retire any of those numbers because it's just not really necessary. So, now that retirement's done, we get to the draft lottery, and fingers crossed we can actually win a draft lottery this year. Like, yes, we did win last year. We won the 2nd overall pick, but this is a big deal for us here. So, let's see if we can actually win a lottery here this year. So, as we get into the lottery here, again, we have the 4th best odds, but Chicago actually managed to find their way right to the bottom, which is cool to see because they have the best odds again, in spite of having a guy named Connor Bedard on their team. But the first 4 or 5 picks here aren't going to move, but now I see the logos all disappear, so that probably means somebody's going to move here soon. And nobody yet. Oh, and we're going to move down 1 pick. Oh, no. So that means, oh, poor Chicago. Oh, they don't even win the lottery. They fall out of the top 3. So that means, who is behind us? I don't even know who is behind us. Arizona, probably? Or I guess that's Tampa Bay's pick. Yeah, so Tampa Bay's pick slides up by 2. Vegas slides up 1, and LA slides up 1, and that is your lottery. So the LA Kings will win the lottery. That one stinks for us because we made it all the way up to pick 5. Like, we had the 4th best odds, and it's like, oh, are we going to win with number 4? Nope, number 5 is going to win instead. So that happens, but, only sliding down 1 pick probably isn't going to hurt too much because it does look like the top 5 or so in this lottery or in this upcoming draft are all going to be fairly similar players. But yeah, at number 5, if we get Tan, then so be it. Not a bad player to potentially get. But we'll see, because one of these guys might end up falling out of that top 5 too. Because really it's just whoever we get is going to be our pick there. It's not like we have a player preference here. Any of these guys would be nice because we're rebuilding. So yeah, let's continue on here. We'll get to the draft and hopefully it'll go well. All right, so as we get to this draft, again, we don't have a ton of picks in the draft in general. We have a few. I think there's about 6 picks that we actually have to make here. I don't know why I went to trade. I'm so used to doing that from NHL, but no, we've got 5 picks, and they're all between pick 5 and pick 68. So hopefully we can make these count. But we'll see how the top end of the draft goes. Again, the first 4 picks here. And with the first 4 picks, it's going to be... okay, so some definitely interesting kind of picks here at the start of this draft. As yes, Fleury was an 81 rated offensive defenseman, and then it falls off as Rask is 73 rated. Fournette is also 73 rated, and then Tajala is only 72 in a medium top 4, so not a great pick there for the Chicago Blackhawks, as we're going to take Ryan Tan as our defenseman. Yes, it's another defensive defenseman, but he's got the highest potential out of probably the whole draft here, and he's going to be a 69 rated high elite defensive defenseman. So not a bad pick at 5. We'll definitely take it. And we'll see how the kind of rest of these picks play out as we get to our next pick here at 26. But the first round looked very interesting as far as there might be some great players in there. There might be some kind of average or okay players, and that does seem to be the case. As Järvinen was a low elite. Same with Brousseau being a low elite defenseman. And if it'll let me scroll, that was it for elite players, really, in the top end of this draft. So a bit of a weak draft, honestly. So, that's bound to happen from time to time, but it just makes us appreciate our own prospects a little bit more that we've already managed to draft. So let's get to pick 26 here. This is the one from the probably Calgary Flames over the Dallas Stars, but I might be wrong on that. But with our next pick here, I think there's a Stanley in to visit as the recording continues, but I think we are going to take this guy here, Renus. I don't even know what his first name is. I don't know if the game will actually let me load that because it's getting pretty laggy right now. But yeah, he's all the way down at number 42. So Euro Renus, I think we're going to take here. There's potential that he's high elite, more than likely that he's only a high top 6, maybe even high top 9. I'm really hoping he's at least high top 6 for a 26th overall pick. And he is indeed high top 6. Okay, so not a bad player there. We get a decent forward. And yet another center, but again, we can still use the snipers. Snipers do not hurt our team by any means, so we'll simulate over another 3 picks. And honestly, if he's still on the board, I might take a look at Enroth. Enroth ended up falling off the board, so that's unfortunate. But it also happens again. He's a 76 rated top 6 player. Not a bad player there by any means, but I will take a high top 6 over a medium top 6 all day. Are you serious? You just came in here. What are you doing? Okay, so for our next pick here, I do believe, if I remember our depth chart correctly, we're still kind of lacking on, I think, right wingers more than anything else. So if we have an option to right winger, I might take him. I'm thinking Kozlov because he looks like a solid 2-way forward. And not a bad potential overall. He might be top 9, which would kind of suck, but fingers crossed. So we will take, if it'll let me, we will take Artemi Kozlov, and he turns out to be, he is medium 9. Okay, that's not great. I was really hoping that he would be medium 6, but we will have to live with that pick again because we made it. So, okay. That probably could have gone a little bit better. Let's see what other talent we missed out on by taking Kozlov. Looks like not a whole lot, actually. There's still lots of talent on the board by the looks of it. Yeah, we didn't actually miss out on anything, really. This next pick is totally in our hands still. So, with pick number 36, I think we're going to go a bit of a different direction. And we're going to look at... Gavrilov looks decent. Apart from him, there's some good goalies in here too. Walker and Keller both look really solid. They're probably both going to be low starters. I'm thinking Suominen is probably also going to be a pick I would love to get. Just based on the projected overall, that means they're going to be decent players. So, yeah, okay, let's go back up. And then sort by potential overall, because potential overall is going to be fairly important here too, because if there's 89 potential overall players in here, looks like Keller is probably the only one, but Garlov looks good. Suominen looks good. I'm thinking Suominen's going to be a low top 4, and that's probably what we want out of everything here, especially as a right-handed shot defenseman. Yeah, okay, let's go with... I know this is pick 36, so I'm actually going to go with Keller because I think he's got potential to be low elite. He's probably going to be a low starter. And he is low elite. Okay, so that's another kind of second round low elite goalie. Might have some decent trade value in the near future, so keep an eye on that. But okay, not a bad pick. And we'll go over a few picks. Honestly, I'm thinking we try to find a pick that kind of gives us some opportunity to draft guys a little bit later, a little bit further back. So we'll make this pick, but then I'm going to say we do go for one trade because I think that is going to be important for kind of deepening our prospect pool a little bit more. But as of this current position, I'm going to go with Garlov. I think he's going to be a low top 6 playmaker. And he is indeed a low top 6 playmaker, so that's a couple decent centers we managed to snag in this draft. But I would like to take a couple shots at defensemen a little bit later on because we only got the one defenseman there in Tan. And, you know, we have a defensive defenseman and a two-way defenseman that are elite already. So having a guy that can kind of play the offense a little bit more would be nice. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. You know, Tan could really be a two-way defenseman, too. He's got the size. He's got the decent enough offensive ability that, you know, he could be good. So... All right, as we continue on here, if it'll let me ever get off of Ryan Tan as a pick, we're just going to go through and take a look at some other teams' picks and see who's got picks around that 80 to 95 range or so. Okay, maybe we throw a second rounder in instead. Maybe that'll actually tempt them with enough value for trading up. And okay, if we trade 2 years from now, second rounder in exchange for 3 picks, I'm okay with that, and they will take that. Okay, and all right, the first pick we're going to go with is going to be Rasmus Suominen, 87 potential rating, so I'm hoping he's going to be a low 4, and if he's offensive, beautiful. All right, he is. So he's 57 rated, nothing super special on the rating there, but again, the pick value and the pick worth as far as what he can develop into is where we're making that pick from. That's the perception we're making that pick from. So, on to the next pick, and with this one, I'm thinking we go with Fuchs over everybody else, because that's just kind of a fun name to say, and 85 kind of seems to be the capo. Like Burakovsky, maybe we'd take a shot at, but... Alright, so we will take whatever his name is here. German player in the USHL, Hernan Fuchs. That's a great name. That's an absolutely fabulous name. So, how good's Hernan? He's a medium top 6. Let's go. What a pick. At 95, yes, he's only 46 rated, but 46 rated players kind of have a tendency in this game to grow by like 20 overall in a season. So, let's see how Hernan does, because I've got a good feeling about that pick at 95. And then at pick 103, we'll finish off the draft with this pick. Again, this 68 just seemed a little bit too early. Only 3 rounds worth of picks was like, ooh, okay, we could probably use a couple more picks than that. Again, let's sort by potential overall because that seems to be working out for us right now. And the best potential overall player, as far as what is kind of close to our team needs, I'm going to say we'll probably go with Belyaev. Yeah, we're going to go with Belyaev. Because, yeah, we could go with more right wingers, but they're not guaranteed to be better picks necessarily. Yeah, we'll take Maxim Belyaev. And Belyaev is, if the pick ever goes through, a low top 6 two-way forward. Again, okay, so we get some really decent potential forwards in this draft, which is awesome because, again, forward depth is going to be probably where we struggle more than anywhere in this team because we've built out a pretty solid defensive prospect pool already. And now it's just a matter of if guys develop. So guys like Suominen and Ryan Tan, we're going to be relying on them to actually become NHL players. But that is where we're going to wrap this draft up, at least, with our picks. We're just going to sim the rest of the draft, see where all the picks fall. It'll take a minute here, but it'll be interesting to see how the kind of last 2 to 3 rounds of picks go there, because we only picked up into the 4th round. So there were still 3 full rounds worth of picks. Pardon the lagginess of my scroll. Ooh, Yunlund is a really good pick. Medium top 4 defender. Don't see too many of those later back in the draft. Lidman was a poor top 6 forward, so not bad there either. And then if we go a little bit further down, looks like Nigmashev. That's an interesting name. Nigmashev was a poor top 6 playmaker as well. And into the final round, not really a whole lot in round 7 there. So that's unfortunate because sometimes there are some really good picks. But yeah, that was it for the draft. I mean, obviously that top end was pretty weak. Oh my god, Eliasson was a high elite goalie. Holy Calgary Flames. I was going to make a trade for that pick too. They drafted 2 goalies. They drafted Barrett, but Eliasson was a high elite goalie. Oh my god, what a pick, Calgary. Oh. Like, yeah, we got the low elite goalie in Keller, but, like, the high elite goalie is the prized possession there because there's only 2 other high elites in this entire draft, and they both go in the top 5 outside of that. Wow, what a pick for the Calgary Flames. I realized I didn't move my face cam over for this draft, but that is all good because that is where we're wrapping this draft up, and really this episode too. So if you guys enjoyed watching this episode as far as what the Pittsburgh Penguins were able to do over the span of this season, then make sure to go down below, drop a like, subscribe, and hit notifications to never miss when I upload these videos. But that is going to be it for me. This is Etanyos signing out, and until next time.